Hi, this is Sandy, or Tesla, as you may know me, from Daywalker Customs Embroidery, and today we're going to do a video on Embroidery Library's Potholders in the Hoop. I had a little bit of confusion with their instructions, so I thought maybe a video might help, and so I was going to put this together. Their URL is located here on the top, the www.emblibrary.com. That's where these designs have come from. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with our supply list. With the supply list, they called for 2 types of cotton fabric, one for the lining and one for the outside. You can do that. In this particular video, I used one. They also used tearaway stabilizer, which I did use in this video, but I have since switched to the water-soluble stabilizer. And then the rest of the items that you see here on the list. The first thing that we're going to do is actually print out the die lines that go with this design, and you will be cutting one of the larger die lines and 4 of the smallers. In my pictures here I only show 2, but you are going to need 4. And what I did is I actually traced mine onto like poster board because I knew I was going to be using them multiple times, and then I traced them onto my fabric and actually cut them out for my fabric. So here you can see that they're cut out, and again, I only had 2 of the smaller ones, and you really do need 4. Okay, on this one we're going to take this quilted piece of fabric that has the ironing board fabric or the heat resistant fabric on the back, and we're going to sandwich that with a piece of the fabric that would be the lining of the pot holder. And then we're going to take our die line for the large size and put it on here, and then we're going to trace around it and cut it out. And here you can see the piece that's already cut out with the heat resistant fabric and the lining piece that will be used inside of the pot holder. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to hoop our stabilizer and take it to the machine and let it stitch out those first die lines. Here you can see that the die lines have been stitched out with my stabilizer, and I am using 505 spray to adhere the first 2 of the small cotton pieces onto the stabilizer. Okay, at this stage of the game we've done our design on the front. We're going to change our bobbin. Remember to change our bobbin to match the border thread that we're going to be using. And we're going to flip this over. Actually spray this with some temporary adhesive. And then apply these. And make sure you go right along the lines so that it knows right where to pick it up, because it's going to start to do that outline stitch now. And then when you get them in place, I usually give them just a real light, don't pull too hard on that. And then I usually turn them over and then press them down pretty good from this side, because then that does make sure that it doesn't pull in the back. And then we're ready to take it back to the machine. At this point, it is finished stitching the 2 inner border lines that you see there running horizontally, and the die line for the outside. So we're ready to apply that now. Now we're going to spray around the edge of our sandwich that we made here with the special ironing fabric. And we're just going to go around the edge. We don't want to go through the whole center, just the edge of this. And then there's a die line that it's stitched out on here. And we're going to try to match that as closely as possible. Get that fabric right in there so that it lines up. And then again, turn it over. Don't push too hard on that side. Turn it over and put your pressure here so that that holds that down pretty good. And then we're ready to take it to the machine for the, I believe it's the last stitching. Hold on. And now that it's complete, it's embroidered on both sides here. You can take it out, and it pulls out pretty easily with the tearaway stabilizer. If you have the water soluble, you'll have to cut it out a little bit more And then you remove the stabilizer on the lining here in between the two little flaps and get that all out of the way. And if you've used tearaway, you may need to trim a little bit. Just be really careful not to trim the satin stitching. And there you have your little oven mitt. So I was kind of messing with it a little bit, but it's a cute little mitt, and it works to keep the heat away from your hands. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and you'll come back and see me again. Thanks.